is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering the Great Festive Bake Off 2020 with the cast of Derry Girls. In this episode, Ashleigh has commissioned a special episode with Krista as a guest because she covered Great British Bake Off with me last year? Was it this year? What is time?
We did some this year.
We're all gonna die. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Krista.
And in this, one of our more esoteric episodes, we'll talk about the nature of time and life and batter in relationship to those aspects. So, Ashleigh is here in the chat. Thank you again so much to Ashleigh for commissioning this episode. Ashleigh is also the person who commissioned all of Derry Girls. So I am forever in her debt for introducing me to that brilliant, wonderful show. I am currently covering a series called Books of the Ancestor, and I'm on Grey Sister. And there is a really badass abbess in those books that I constantly picture as what's-her-name from Derry Girls, who got included in this episode of British Bake Off because Orla, the actress who plays Orla, was not there.
Siobhan McSweeney.
Siobhan. Then the main girl is Saoirse.
Yep.
I should have brought their names up, actually. Maybe I'll do that now. What did you think, Krista, of this episode?
It was super cute. It was weird seeing Paul and Prue be nice.
I was actually thinking that Paul was kind of a dick, considering, not even really a dick, but I thought he might go a little easier on them, and he does not really. But
he went somewhat easy on them. He kept on giving them praise every time.
That's true. So, what was it like seeing people who are not bakers doing this? Because for those who haven't listened to those episodes, which were for patrons only, Krista and I, it was going to be mini episodes. That didn't stick at all. But Krista does not bake. So yeah, I was very curious to see how it would feel to watch other people who also don't bake. For Saoirse, it was the first time she ever made a cake in her life, was on the show, which is bonkers to me. Chris is just shaking her head, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, my people. They were Irish. They're on the show. And they have other things that they do with their spare time.
Who did you think, when we started this, was going to win?
Nicola.
Did you? For those who aren't aware, Nicola is the one who plays Claire. And she is one of my favorite characters on the actual show, just because I relate to her so hard, because she has a serious anxiety complex and is very overly cautious about everything and wants so much to be the A student. And I just really relate to her in a lot of ways. Krista, you posted a quiz earlier. Which Derry Girls character are you? Who did you get?
I got Aaron.
Did you?
Yeah. You?
I got Orla, which I don't really see. And the quote they used for Orla when her name came up was, "What's a pair of knickers amongst cousins?" Which I was like, I don't know how to take that. But yeah, so let's see. Lauren is in the chat. She says, never watched Derry Girls, but maybe now I need to, but loved GBBO coverage and I'm so ready for a new season. Ashleigh says she doesn't believe that Saoirse had never baked before. And she said that she thought the underdog that might win would be Siobhan. I kind of assumed that it was going to be Nicola as well because of everybody being so confident from the outset. And a lot of times, as much as it pains me when everybody's prediction turns out to be right, it does, because people kind of like have a sense. But it did not go well for our girl Nicola at all. Right from the beginning, she makes this beautiful sponge, and that looks like everything's going well, but then she lets it cool rather than rolling it right away. So the first challenge is a trifle. Have you ever had a trifle?
Yes.
What was it? What was in yours?
It was really boring. It was just like vanilla cake, and then there was like, I think, chocolate pudding, and then some whipped cream stuff on top.
I didn't know that it like has to include fruit, and I guess it doesn't have to. Traditionally, it includes fruit, because the only trifle I've ever had was chocolate cake made from a box, by the way, a layer of chocolate pudding, and then a layer of crumbled up Reese's peanut butter cups, and then a layer of whipped cream. And I am not kidding you. It is one of the best desserts I've ever had. It was the easiest, most like cheap ass, lowest common denominator type of dessert, and it was amazing. I don't know what it is about chocolate pudding plus Reese's cups, but if anybody's ever looking for an easy like Halloween dessert, because it's all chocolate and very dark, but then the Reese's cups are like orange, it's a real good one. So I didn't really know what the components were until they explained it, actually. And I know that this isn't the first time trifle has been done on the show, I don't think, right? Have we seen this before?
I would assume not.
Yeah.
Well.
Grand shrug. So
it's weird being on camera, man.
Oh, that's true. You're not used to that.
No, not even a little bit.
I didn't really think of that, because you come on for the like cocktail hours and stuff occasionally when we were like doing them monthly before, and we were having like various people on.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite by the end of this episode?
For entertainment value, it was Jamie Lee.
Is it? Okay.
Who had my heart was Siobhan. Ah,
yes. Siobhan was definitely, for me, number one in terms of the person that I would want to go and hang out with. For reference, guys, at the end of the episode, they ask everybody, what are you going to take from this experience? And her response is, I think I'm going to take a few bowls, because I got rather attached to some of them, and you seem to have quite a lot of them. And I fell out laughing. She is so deadpan. And she's clearly like such a jolly person. But when she gets deadpan, it's like all the life goes out of her. And you're ready for her to just tell you that you've only got 3 months. And then she busts out with this line that you're like, oh, you're still funny. There's still something happening. It just doesn't look like there's anything happening. And it kept catching me off guard.
It reminded me a lot of the older people in my grandmother's family. Like the same kind of humor, which makes sense because they were all Irish.
I wish that anybody in my family had that. I'm jealous. Not so.
I mean, there's other stuff that comes with it. Don't forget.
True. Let's see. By the way, did anyone notice whether it was Saoirse or Jamie Lee that had the big bowl? Ashleigh, I didn't. Do you remember that? Have you watched Derry Girls, Krista?
No, I've seen one episode.
I can't believe I didn't ask that right off the top.
Yeah.
Krista, do yourself a favor. That show is hilarious. Top to bottom. I mean, it's so good. If I had time, if I had like realized how soon this was coming up, I would have definitely assigned you to watch the show before we started recording this. But that is such a delightful thing that you get to experience fresh now, because it's short seasons. The episodes themselves are not that long. I think they're like 30 minutes. And
Okay.
it's these girls plus one other girl named Orla who maybe couldn't make it or they just decided not to send her. Who is...
She was doing a theater show.
Oh, okay. See, you haven't even watched the show and you know what's going on more than I know what's going on. What happened? Did you go research this?
After the episode was over, of course I researched it. My name is Krista.
I'm just asking.
Like, hey, Natasha, do you plan things?
You know, once upon a time I did. Lately, that's not really happening so much.
On an episode of The Vampire Diaries, I didn't research something and Jamie got scared.
It's just, like I said, time has lost all meaning. The other day, somebody reminded me that Black Panther came out, like, only about 2 years ago. And I swear to God, it feels like it's been about 11 years since Black Panther came out to me. It just feels like ages. And then when I said to you, like, oh, we did Great British Bake Off, and I said last year, and I had no confidence.
You shouldn't have, because it wasn't last year.
When was it?
It was January and February.
It was this year?
Yeah, well, we did some in December, though, too.
Kids, look. I don't even have an excuse. I'm not under quarantine the way that some people are. This is just how my life is. I think what's throwing me off is that most other people are living the way now that I've lived the past few years with barely leaving the house. So that's, I've been using other people's activity as my, like, barometer for time passing, and that's not happening anymore. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Lauren just said the final Game of Thrones season was last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I just re-listened to the first 3 episodes of your coverage because after that it's just a lot of yelling.
It is a lot of yelling. You're not wrong. Okay, well, Krista, please. I know that I tell you to watch a lot of stuff. I know because Miles often yells at me also. However, this is a show that's light and doesn't require a ton of, like, concentration, except for you do have to put on the subtitles because I guarantee you, no matter how good you are with accents, it's going to be tricky a couple of times and you're going to miss stuff. So I do say that.
Well, I don't know new Irish slang or even 90s Irish
slang,
so there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were a lot of things that it was really fun to cover it for Spoil Me because Ashleigh, who is Irish, was in the chat informing me because I was just like, what the fuck is this? There's something called a curry buddy? Is that what it's called? I can't remember now. It's this food that's horrifying. It's a bad idea. And I won't get into what it is now. Eventually, if you get there, Ashleigh says it's amazing. She's lying. But it was really fun to have somebody, like, fill in the blanks on shit that I didn't get in the chat. So, you know, if you watch, you can listen to those Spoil Me episodes, and that's super. It's curry chips in a roll. Ashleigh, why'd you spoil it? It's curry potatoes on a roll, Krista. There's no meat. It's just curry sauce on potatoes in a roll. That's too much. Am I wrong?
That sounds like it would. That sounds like it would just, like, stick in your throat hardcore.
She says, well, you can put chicken on it as well. Yeah, but that's not, like, how it comes, right? That's not, like, a standard. Anyway,
no,
that's not what we're here for. We're not here to talk about.
That's like Permanis, if you remember that.
No, what's that?
Oh, it's a sandwich in Pittsburgh that has French fries in the sandwich.
Permanis? That's the...
Permantes, yeah.
Huh. I mean, I don't mind French fries in a sandwich if the sandwich contains other items. But when that's, like, the main filling, it just seems like... I don't know. I guess it's like a pierogi, though. A pierogi's like dough filled with potato. But I always thought pierogies was a weird thing, too. So...
Yeah, I agree. And yes, they do put French fries on salads, along with steak. Steak goes in a salad.
I would put steak in a salad. That's no problem. French fries on a salad, now we're getting weird. If I put carbs on a salad, I want them to be really crunchy so that it gives me some sort of contrast, you know? And fries are just going to mush with dressing on them and stuff. Yeah, anyway.
Melted cheese. Yeah. So this show.
Yeah, right. So you came into this not knowing who any of these people are. I can't wait, if you watch the show, for you to see exactly who Siobhan is on the show, because she is that dry character. So her sense of humor should not have surprised me at all, that she was managing to pull that off, because that's who she is. But she plays a no nonsense nun at the school that they attend. Mother Superior, I think, is that
Sister Michael?
Sister Michael? Mother Superior's in an abbey, right? That doesn't happen in a school, does it?
Depends on the school.
Yeah.
But she's just a sister. Like, her name would be Mother in the... I looked it up on IMDb to remember how to say, like, who was who.
She is, hands down, my favorite character on the show.
Nice.
She's just really good. So, when we start this off, we have the trifle and everybody who has seen the show before. All of them who are competing, it seems, have watched the show and are very excited about it. And it seems like the moment the cameras get rolling, they all sort of lose their cool. They all just, like, completely forget what's happening. I think it's Siobhan who's like, oh, I'm very judgmental when I watch this show. And I'm like, she didn't get enough air in that sponge. And now I'm like, what's a sponge? And I was like, I really could see that happening. Nerves are a real fucking obstacle, man.
I mean, that's what happened with last year's the end episode. The finale was nerves.
That's true. Oh, that was so devastating. Guys.
My heart is still broken.
I know. Oh, I'm just, like, imagining it again. So, she is going to be making this, like, champagne sponge, or champagne jelly, to go with her sponge. And she puts a lot of gelatin in it. And it's super weird because they act like she put way too much, like it's going to be like a block. But it's not. And
not even a little bit.
I can't tell why not. Did she not, like, bloom the gelatin properly before she put it in? Like, she puts 12 sheets. That should be... For that kind of recipe, you would normally use, like, 3, I think? And Chris is looking around, guys. She just got a look on her face. What are you looking for, Krista? A clue?
A clue.
I'm so glad I knew that. I'm very happy that joke translated. Well, I just don't understand because they say it with such certainty that it's way too much.
It's enough for the Thames.
Yeah. But then when she pours it into her thing, it's like liquidy. And when they scoop it out, they tell her it looks like slime. Like, and it does because it's clear. She should have added a little food coloring or something.
Yeah, if it had been more solid, it wouldn't have been so creepy.
It's really creepy. Especially with the color of everything else. It looks like a layer of snot or something.
Well, we shouldn't trash her heritage.
Oh my God, I forgot that she did that. The Irish like a side of slime, so please stop dissing my culture. Yeah, so that's really her struggle there, and also everybody keeps on forgetting to lower their mixer heads completely or to lock their bowls completely in place. So we see a number of like clouds of flour and sugar going up, or at one point Saoirse's got her mixer head tilted back, but she hits the thing and there's batter all over the paddle and it just begins to spin and she gets completely covered. And I did that one time.
Oh no.
I did that one time, except it was a whip head rather than a paddle. And it was much more liquidy chocolate mixture.
Was this when you were trying to make that really specific cake and you had a boyfriend who was telling you couldn't do it?
Mm-hmm. And he was
I still want to punch
right.
him in the throat, though.
Yeah, he was a bad man. But yeah, the kitchen, there was batter on the ceiling. I have no doubt that Saoirse also got batter on the ceiling, but because it was white batter, you probably couldn't see it as much. When it was that chocolate, God help you. It was just...
I mean, at least you knew where to clean up, because otherwise ants.
That's true. That's how you get ants.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kept enjoying how, like, even Siobhan, who, again, it's not like she's never baked before, but her bowl isn't locked in place, and it starts to just spin and clack around, and she has to, because it's a glass bowl that she could have broken.
I know, it's very upsetting.
What are they doing giving people glass bowls in the first? I guess it's so that you can see with the camera what's happening in there.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I don't like it.
But still. No, it's very scary.
Oh, Lauren said the glass bowls make me so heroic. So I was like, what? And then she corrected it with nervous with an asterisk. That makes more sense. I thought that you were saying heroic, like in I thought maybe that was some more Irish slang that I didn't know. So then we've got James, who is played by Dylan. I kept forgetting that he was the only dude in this tent, because that's what happens on the show also. You forget that he's the only guy on the show. He's not the only guy, period, but in their friend group. What did you think of him?
He was a puppy, cinnamon roll kind of. Just like, oh, look at you, you're trying so hard.
He seemed like a really nice boy.
Yes, and they clearly all know that he's a puppy and treat him accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he, later on, they have to make, what do you call it? They have to make cakes that are themed after a decade in time. And he chooses the 60s because he thinks that was the birth of cool. And honestly, that is the goofiest thing I've ever heard anybody say, ever. The birth of cool.
The best part is he put Sandy's name on the side of the van and misspelled it.
Oh my God, he didn't misspell it. I didn't realize that. No.
Yeah. Because he put a Y at the end and she spells it with an I.
That's so embarrassing.
Nobody called him out for it either. I was shocked.
Oh my God. So you saw that when you researched afterwards that it was misspelled?
Oh, I know that. Remember how much I like the comedian? I love her.
Right,
she's great.
Right. I forgot that you knew her from other things before we started doing the show coverage. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Oh, I just want to die. Like, I get what he was doing and that it's really sweet. And you really probably, especially at his age, it doesn't occur to you how many different spellings there could be for a name. But oh God, like if you're going to do it, I would definitely ask first on camera and everything. Nobody said anything.
No one said anything. I was just waiting for Paul to be like, instead Prue was like, you should have put my name because I'm the judge. And I was like, that's actually a fair note. But he was all excited because Sandy said she had been at Woodstock when she was 11.
When she was 11. What the hell was she doing there? I don't feel like that's a thing you want to just bring kids to. Am I wrong? Do I have a wrong idea on Woodstock and what that was all about?
I have seen many children at events where you would just go, that seems like a poor idea.
Yeah.
So.
Oh God, I'm just so embarrassed for him now. Poor kid. I mean, if they didn't call him out, maybe it was fine. Maybe he still doesn't know he misspelled it to this day.
Well, now that he's listening to this, he knows.
Oh, that's true. They are big listeners. The Derry Girls. They love my show.
They should.
Well, either they'll find out because they listen, or one of the millions of listeners is sure to let them know. So then we have, let's see. Oh yeah. And he's making a trifle that's like a real traditional Bakewell flavor with raspberry and almond and whatnot. And they sort of make fun of the idea that he like practiced with his mom because they all assume that his mom did everything and he just stood there and watched her do it. He doesn't exactly refute that assertion.
He said he did half the work.
He says that with a tone that I'm not sure I take seriously or not. I don't know.
I just figure she kept telling him exactly what to do and he was doing it.
Yeah, that's probably true. So she did all of the, like, anything that takes any sort of judgment. And he did all of the, like, grunt work.
Yeah.
That's how it is whenever Owen offers to help me cook. I'm just like, you can chop this. Please stir that. Mostly, it's, how about you empty the dishwasher? That's his helping job while I cook.
This is gold.
I mean, I like having a place to put all my dirty dishes right away. So emptying the dishwasher is not an insignificant contribution. I'm just saying. And this is the first time that we see Nicola try out a sponge bake, which she does a second one after the first one is not rolled while hot the way it is supposed to be rolled. And the second one, she hits the grill button so that it's burnt on top. So then she goes and she bakes another one.
I was shocked she finished. I was shocked.
I can't figure out how she managed that because time seems to be on nobody's side. So having the time to make that, I mean, and granted, what wound up tripping her up in that challenge was the fact that her, I think her jelly was the wrong texture or her cream. Something wasn't stiffened enough and firmed up enough. So it wasn't like she didn't struggle for time at all. But she apparently was able to bust out another batch twice in a row. And I just can't figure that out. Like, just the measuring of stuff is such a pain in the ass, you know?
I was shocked, like, that she had stuff on. She had a chance to sort of decorate even.
Yeah. Oh my God, that gold leaf. And
that was weird.
It's
sticking to my hands.
Off her hands. She winds up just like wiping her hands down the front of her apron. And I'm just like, oh, that apron's worth $1,100 now because there's just so much gold leaf all over it. So that's what she starts off with. And everybody is drinking booze.
Yes.
Can we talk about the overall festiveness of this episode? How did it feel to watch a Christmas episode?
Oh, well, if you notice, I have my red glasses and red lipstick on to go with the green shirt because I'm on point.
Krista's in theme. Meanwhile, I am in a turquoise shirt, a teal shirt, pink headphones as usual. Not in the Christmas spirit at all. I should have gotten a wreath behind me and some... What have I got here to shake that sounds like bells? Nothing. Shit. I usually have some bell-ish. Oh, here we go.
There you go.
Is that anything? They're little bells, see?
A little bit. Yeah, they're very cute. This had as many reboots as Nicholas Trifle.
Oh my God. I honestly feel so bad for her in the end because she came in there with such confidence. She really thought she had it in the bag. You could tell. And then as things go on, she begins to really wilt. And it's sad because, like, you could see her confidence is so shaken. And it's not just her confidence in baking, but just this idea of, like, wow, I really took for granted that this was handled. And I'm realizing that maybe that was kind of a dick move. And I just feel she's very, like, she's a good sport about it. Yeah. You know, she's not...
Yeah.
But you can tell that she is really... Everything went in a way she didn't expect at all. And it all starts with this cake this first time. I think that is probably... If I were to go on with a bunch of other people who didn't know how to bake, I would probably be operating under this same, like, problem where I would feel like, oh yeah, I've got this. And then I would miss one pretty serious thing that would wind up domino affecting everything else, and then I would just be ruined and it would be all over. Because once you fuck that up, getting your shit together for the next one is not easy. And she makes a pretty, like, weird mistake in the next one.
In the technical?
Because
which does not matter.
It doesn't seem to, does it?
No, it does not matter. It's the technical.
Guys, I don't know if you all have listened to our coverage of this, but Krista asserted that the technical didn't matter a third of the way into the season, and we started to keep track of whomever did win the technical. And a lot of the time, people would win the technical and then be eliminated, and it seemed like it counted for absolutely nothing. So I am beginning to come around to Krista's way of thinking regarding that. It just feels like it's a thing for the fun of the audience to like watch everyone sweat and also like learn about a weird food, you know?
It was very Russian because it had beets and caviar in it, which why?
Blinis. They're
and horseradish. It just.
How do you feel about horseradish?
I'm allergic.
Are you? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I found out the hard way.
Oh no.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Horseradish is one of those things that, like, I don't understand why we thought that was an edible thing. You know? There's just certain things that I'm like, I understand, you know, initially being like, well, let's see if you can eat this. Just as a caveman, you're just trying to find stuff to eat, wandering around, biting on everything, giving it a shot, seeing what happens. But, like, when you taste what's going on with horseradish, I don't really see what makes you go back again. Because to me, horseradish tastes like how gasoline smells. Where it just goes up into your sinuses and makes you go, oh, God. Like, it's this, like, full body reaction that I have.
I mean, my dad's dad loves my mom's dip for shrimp, which I'm also allergic to, so every time they offer it to me, I'm like, I am your only child. You should catch on to this by now. But
Krista, you can't move in with those people.
I'm not going to.
Good.
I'm not going to, I promise. I promise. Things have changed.
Thank God. You have to tell me later what's going on.
Yeah. So my mom will make shrimp and then half ketchup, half horseradish, and he thinks this is the most delicious delicacy he's ever had.
Half ketchup?
Yes.
So she's making the jankiest cocktail sauce I've ever heard of in my life, is what you're telling me.
And he loves it. She makes him his own.
I don't... All right, you know what? I'm not going to try and yuck anybody's yum, even though I'm definitely judging them hard. But just there are a few foods in the world that there's some that I'm like, I wish I liked this. And I understand the draw that it has, but I don't like it. Olives, for example. But then there's stuff like horseradish that I'm like, if you like this, there's something defective in your head, in your like olfactory, that it's something has like been switched off, and the horseradish is the only thing that makes you feel. It's like cutting, but with food. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what it is. Like people who like really hot stuff. Like I'm talking. Have you ever seen the show Hot Ones?
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay, yeah. When they get to like level 8 and people are ready to throw up, and people are like, "Yeah, I totally eat that." Why? Why?
There's something broken. And so this gives you the illusion of tasting a thing, because otherwise I don't believe that you actually taste a food. It's just...
Oh my God.
I wonder if, like, because you know how COVID's supposed to make you lose your sense of taste? Do you think that there's going to be, like, an upsurge in really spicy foods to sort of, like...
Well, my mom's dad, he actually lost... It's his sense of smell that he lost, because he had a sinus infection for too long and just waited on it like a dude.
That's horrifying.
And so he lost his sense of smell, and so the only thing he really got anything out of was spicy food, which he didn't really care for before, but now he's like, something's happening while I eat. This is great.
Yeah, I wonder if his stomach agrees with him on that. Wouldn't it be awful if the only things that, like, you can taste also give you horrific indigestion and heartburn?
He seemed to be doing okay, but I didn't really question it at the time. So, but yeah, my mom would just like have extra spice for him, and he would just be like, "That's my girl." And my mom would just be all proud of herself. It was cute.
So there's the beet mixture. What's in that? Did you remember?
Oh, well, it was beet, and that was what the horseradish was in too. And then they had...
I'm going to say that it was sour cream, even though I don't know that at all. But I'm just, because it's a Russian thing. I'm like, sour cream sounds right.
Sure.
But there's that. Then there's the hot smoked salmon and the caviar and then dill on top.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of smoked salmon usually, but it being hot kind of changes it for me when it's that cold smoked salmon that goes on top of like bagels. Never been a fan of that personally.
I have avoided.
But, overall I could see this kind of maybe being good. I don't have a real... Do you like caviar?
No, I don't, because I am a child. I'm a child, and I will not, I tried it once, and I'm very insulted that somebody made me do that.
I'm not sure that means that you're a child. Like, caviar's a real weird fucking food. Caviar is it's the kind of thing that, again, whomever was like, this seems like a good idea. I get it when, again, you're a caveman, and you haven't got a lot to eat, and you cut this thing open, and there's eggs in it, and you're just like, I guess, sure. I'm not going to throw it away. May as well. But when we've gotten to the point we have now in history, where we have our options, and we're still going for it.
I've shared my Gardoon story, so...
Your Gardoon story. Tell it again. I don't remember.
Yeah, the weeds that my family decided to eat because it's...
Oh, right. That grow in fucking parking lots and shit.
Yes.
That's right. What is it with us and all right, look, another food that I don't understand that I feel entirely we cling to simply because of tradition. Coleslaw.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Whose fucking idea was it after we got out of the direct path of famine and starvation to then continue to make coleslaw as if that was a perfectly sane, normal side dish to have?
It looks like vomit.
It is vomit. You don't... It's on everything down here, too. Like, when I was in Connecticut, I didn't like coleslaw. It was easy to avoid. Down here, they fucking put it on everything, on the side of everything, and I can't even, eat a thing it's touched because it's so gross. The people add sugar to it. What do you... Ugh!
Oh.
Ugh.
It's on... You remember those sandwiches with the French fries? They also have coleslaw in the sandwich.
All right. Pittsburgh. I didn't want to do this, but we're just going to pretend you don't exist and just, it's all Philly now forever. Duma's in the chat saying coleslaw is delicious. Duma, I bet you like horseradish too. I bet there's something wrong inside of your head, is what I'm saying. Coleslaw, anything with cabbage, honestly, is just out for me. Cabbage is a famine times vegetable. It has its place. It lasts forever. It's great filler. It has a lot of fiber in it. That's the only time. Otherwise, if you're making shit with cabbage in it, you need somebody to come and check on you and make sure that you're okay, because you're clearly going through a really bad depressive period. And we're not in Soviet Russia. It's not gray. Everything at the grocery store is at your disposal. If you pick up the cabbage and you're like, oh, this will be a real treat, I'll definitely put effort into making something with this. I don't know what to say to you. There's just so much that you can do with other things.
I mean, I don't mind it if it's made with, corned beef, because that's a once a year thing, where it used to be anyway.
I can't.
But there's a lot of butter and salt involved, let's be fair.
Yeah, it's still not. You said that, and for a second I was like, maybe, and then I was like, no. The only time that I have liked cabbage is kimchi. Have you had kimchi?
Yes.
And that I can get behind. Like, that's fine. But kimchi is a special case.
One of my sorority sisters used to make that in the sorority house.
Ooh, I bet that really smelled like something.
Yes, it did.
Oh, God. Anytime there's hot vinegar that you have to deal with, talk about smelling like gasoline. Like, it's not that it smells like gas, but it does that, like, back of the nose sinus thing where...
Yeah.
It's like opening a box that's full of hot wings, like in buffalo sauce, and you inhale too hard, and then you cough for like 10 minutes, and your eyes are watering. Oh, man.
It's such a feeling.
So, yeah, Nicola's mistake when making the blinis is everybody else follows the instructions exactly as written, which is to say they don't add any fat to their pans because it's a nonstick pan. And there is nothing in the instructions that says to add fat. So they all, except for her, just pour the batter right in. And she agonizes over the fact that she's only been provided olive oil, which she assumes is for frying them in, when she thinks that it should be butter. Which her reasoning is that normally you fry pancakes in butter. And... to that I say, no, you don't. I mean, you can, but I definitely will use like a nonstick spray or canola oil for pancake. It doesn't matter. And these are blinis. Pancakes are meant to be usually sweet. Butter makes sense. You're making a savory with smoked fish and dill. Why wouldn't you use olive oil? Chris is looking around, guys. Come back! Charles D is in the chat. I have what I call skillet cabbage in my refrigerator. It's a cooked shredded cabbage dish with other aromatic veggies. Don't you dare call cabbage, quote, aromatic. If you're talking about solely the other vegetables being aromatic, fine. Cabbage.
You know what's not fun? Having neighbors in an apartment building who make cabbage every goddamn night.
The stale smell of cooked cabbage especially just evokes, for me anyway, a nursing home. Like, when I say somebody has to be going through a depressive episode when they cook it, they're either going through one or they're about to, because their house is going to smell like the end. So, I'm just... Krista, I'm sorry. We need to get you some Bath and Body Works, like, wall plugins.
Oh, this was like 2002.
Oh, okay, good.
That's how bad it was. I still remember.
I wonder if, like, have you ever seen Amelie, the movie?
No.
Oh,
no, I know. I want to, and then just never get around to it.
It's very fun. But there is a moment in that movie where she pranks somebody who's been a real dick to people and just does some petty things in his house to, like, mess him up for the day. And I could see if you, like, refilled somebody's, like, wallflowers from Bath and Body Works with cabbage oil and just made it smell like a nursing home. That would be a real fucked up thing to do. Really get under someone's skin, I feel like.
And there's no way of fixing that, so you better really dislike that person and have all the power in that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, you duck in there, you do that, you duck out, and you never come back, and hopefully don't live anywhere near them so that smell doesn't leak out into the hallway.
You change your name after you do that.
Ashley says, I'm guessing you have similar feelings about Brussels sprouts. No. Brussels sprouts, entirely different animal. Brussels sprouts, when they are cooked properly, they don't get that, like, sliminess that cabbage tends to get. And you can toss them in, like, honey and balsamic vinegar and then roast them and toss them again with bacon and walnuts. I mean, no, Brussels sprouts are different. They hit different. Oh, God, that sounds so good. Fall is coming. You better believe it's about to get roasty up in this bitch. All right, so the blinis. I love this. We didn't actually, I said, can we talk about the Christmas aesthetic? And I didn't even really get into it. But it makes me so deeply happy to see, and I'm pretty certain, based on the vivid green of the grass in the background, I could be wrong, that this isn't filmed at Christmas at all.
They all seemed cold, though, when they went outside, but at the same time, they're actors.
They're actors, and it's London, or it's England. The summers can be rather chilly, depending. But I don't know, maybe they had cold air blowers, because Prue and Paul are wearing coats and scarves, So I don't know.
And those amazing earrings.
Oh my God. Purple lightning bolt earrings to match her purple glasses frames. I love Prue's fucking look so much. I really do.
She's the best.
Good times. But yeah, the whole style of the decor in here for Christmas is very classic, and combined with how pretty the aesthetic of the kitchenware already, the benches and all of the shelves in the background with the teapots and things and various with the Christmas stuff added on top of it, it just looks extra pretty to me. And I don't know if those trees are real Christmas trees. They probably aren't, but they look really, really real. And it just made me long for Christmas a lot. It made me really want to fast forward a little bit.
Oh, gee, you want to fast forward now? Really?
God.
You want to get through this time quicker for some reason?
You know what? I shouldn't even say I want to fast forward, because like I said, it feels like it's been 11 years since Black Panther. If I fast forward, who knows what it's going to feel like. The end of July arrived, and I was just it was July? I was still mentally in June, and July was over. And now it's the 15th of August. Oh my God. We're halfway through August already.
Somebody pointed out that March was 5 months prior, and I was like, you shut your mouth. It's 5 months.
Okay. Truly, something's happening. Right? Somebody's opened up a wormhole or a portal, or they've Men in Blacked us with little zappies. I can't understand how I can completely have lost months of my life and have no memory of anything significant other than a few moments. A couple funerals stick out. That's about it. Man. Well, I just don't know what to do with this information. My brain just broke. It's halfway through August.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, a friend of mine's like, oh, we should celebrate your birthday coming up. I'm like, no, please don't. I don't want to know.
I know. I've been looking at it on my calendar. Guys, I'm going to go and check it just so that you guys all know, and you guys can all put it in your calendars, because I don't remember the exact day, but I keep on seeing it. So Krista's birthday is September 3rd, which is a Thursday. So everybody remember to do something nice for Krista on September 3rd, which is a Thursday, which is her birthday.
Guess who just came to see?
There's a kitty! Oh, look at how cute he is.
Come here, you nut.
Ashleigh says, oh, that's the day before my sister's. I'll remember that. Look at how good Juanito is. Oh, he just lets himself be curled up in your arms. He's very chill.
Yeah, he likes being held. Yeah, this is about the time during the day that I have to take a break for work.
He's such a good boy. He's got pretty eyes.
I just want to be held. Yeah.
All right, so blinis. They pipe the stuff onto it, which really makes it look like it's going to be something sweet. I kept getting confused because it just looks like frosting, you know?
It really does. Yeah.
And then they have to bring them out, and because it's a technical, the judges don't know anything about whose is whose. And they all look very different. The one that comes in last place is Dylan's, because he somehow, like, this will happen if you use a really low cooking temperature. You will underbake, or you won't get the color you need, but you'll dry it out. So it will look underdone, but actually be overdone. And that's part of why, like, if you're trying to dry something, you use a low temperature because you don't want to burn it.
Oh, like beef jerky.
Like beef jerky. Or if you're trying to do, like, my grandmother would do wreaths, and she would put slices of dried orange on the wreaths at Christmas because they're really pretty, and she would use a really, really low temp for that. So, yeah, he managed to do that, the poor baby. Then we have... what's her name? Jamie
Lee.
Jamie Lee, thank you. Hers are very inconsistent, underbaked, whatever, undercooked, I guess, because they aren't even baked. And then Nicola, who comes in third place because she cooked hers in oil, and they could tell immediately. I can't get over the fact that they didn't even eat them yet, and they knew. They were, like, looking at them, and Paul zeroed right in on hers and was like, do those look like they have oil on them? And I was like, God damn, they're covered in stuff. How could you even tell? I wonder if there's oil on the plate or something.
They have a camera that there's a television in the back that lets them see everything.
So you think it's just they knew already who had done what?
I think he actually can tell, probably, from, like, the sheen on something.
Because, like, if it's the technical and they're not supposed to know whose is whose, I don't feel like they could watch what people are doing, because that gives too much away.
If it was any other reality show, I'd be like, oh, it's just fixed, blah, blah, blah. But I honestly think they can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I tend to most reality shows, I'm just like, oh, they fucking know. But this show is like, you know, not to say that there isn't magic going on behind the scenes to make things look a certain way, but I feel like they tend to show things that, as close to how they actually happen as they can. So yeah,
they're low stakes too. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So this means that it's Saoirse and Siobhan who are up against one another for first place. I at first really thought that Saoirse was going to be really a goner, because she has put a straight handful of dill on top of each of those. Compared to everybody else's, it's a tiny clump of grass on top. And I just was, when she put her tray down, I was like, bitch, what have you done? And I was surprised they liked it.
Yeah, when Prue said, oh, I love this much dill, and I'm like, well, that's a miracle.
Right? I'm not anti-dill, but I so strongly associate it with pickles that I have a hard time making myself use it in recipes, even when it's, like, in the recipe. Because I always feel like it's going to add a weird pickly flavor, and that's not what dill does necessarily. I feel like I need to, like, branch out a little bit more with my herbs.
Oh, me too.
Guys, I don't know if you could tell from her voice when she said it, but Krista was smirking because she doesn't mean the thing that she just said. It's sarcasm. I just use a lot of rosemary, a lot of cilantro. Those are like my two like go-to herbs, other than like mint in my iced teas and things. I need to do a little bit of dill. I probably need to use mint in more savory stuff as well. I get afraid of that. But it's like super good in Indian food when it's done savory. All right, I'm just hungry is the problem. All right, let's move on. So I believe Siobhan wins this one, right?
Yes.
Yes. I forgot how wild her hair looks in this episode. She has...
Because it gets stuff all in it.
And it's like, she hasn't got it tamed down in any way. It's just sort of like, it's at a weird length where it's above her chin, but it doesn't look like she's brushed it today. Like, she just looks like a little bit of a mess. So they all start congratulating her, and I remember being like, that. It really looks like she kind of, like, lost it while she was cooking.
She definitely put her fingers through her hair a few times.
Yes. Oh, my God. Okay, so speaking of her putting her fingers through, let's talk about her frosting the cake a little bit later with her bare ass hands, because she starts to get so irritated. And honestly, once you see what she did with, like, the coconut, it all worked out and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But initially, I could not stop. Dylan comes over to her and is like, "You okay?"
He was so worried. He was so worried.
To which she's just like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" Like, with this look on her face, like, "Oh, God, save me."
I washed my hands. It's okay.
Oh, man. So, like I said, the next challenge is the cakes that they have to carve or otherwise, like, make into something three-dimensional. They didn't really carve the cakes almost anybody. I think Saoirse, with her peace sign, came the closest to actually doing that of anybody.
Yeah, she cut out the inside of the peace sign.
Yeah. And everybody, like, unless I might have missed.
Well, and then Siobhan cut the triangle for the tent.
True. Okay. What about Amelia Earhart's plane?
She cut off the head of Amelia Earhart and stuck it in the grass. Swear to God, nobody mentioned that.
I can't get over. She was so ambitious with that.
Yes, what was she thinking?
The beginning of the episode, she straight up admits that she hasn't practiced anything at all. That's not... I would be reticent to do a plane. You know? I mean, it's not like it's an impossible thing to do, but planes have, like, delicate parts, and you'd need to, like, figure out ways to do the wings without having to use cake, do something else, maybe dry fondant out or make biscuits for it. And her whole, like, attitude about it was just, it just seemed kind of like, I'll figure it out. And I'm like, you don't have a plan. How do you think this is gonna work? Like, and spoiler alert, it does not work.
No, there's a headless Amelia Earhart.
She just says the plane crashed into the ground.
It's so fucked up.
And she was so excited to do this because apparently Amelia Earhart did an emergency stop in Derry one time. And it's one of the few non-political historical moments in Derry that she thought it would be nice to celebrate because Derry had been such a hot spot for so many things. And for it to just wind up being... It was just so... What's the word I want? Undignified. It was an undignified depiction of this historical moment that she was rather excited about. I just felt a little bit sad for her. It was a bummer. So
I think she was like, how can I make this the funniest? Because I'm not going to win. I know. I'll slack off.
Yeah. I guess there is something to that. Hey, you're talking about it. All right. So, oh my God. So Siobhan, like, not just the grass thing, but she's talking about the fact that, like, because they each have to pick a decade, but some of them do these things that feel very, very specific regarding that decade. And hers is something personal, because her and her family used to go camping. And so she chose the 80s, I think, because that was when they were doing these trips.
Yeah, it was just, she almost choked up when she started explaining why it was important to her. My heart broke a little bit. I was like, oh God, don't cry.
Yeah, she says that both of her parents had passed away. And that they used to eat this thing that she thought was Battenberg cake because it turns out that it wasn't. I don't even know what Battenberg cake is. Do you know what Battenberg cake is?
I was hoping
I'm going to look it up right now. Battenberg cake. A light sponge cake held together with jam. The cake is covered in marzipan, and when cut in cross-section, displays a distinctive 2x2 check pattern, alternately colored pink and yellow. Okay. So she thought that's what they were eating, but evidently it's not really like the traditional cake that she thought. So now she calls it Cork Battenberg because they were camping in Cork when they would eat it.
Yeah.
So that is part of her concept behind this cake, alternating chocolate and vanilla sponge. And she's going to do a triangle with it because that is a tent shape. And that's really about as much of a carving as she can manage. And I thought at first that she was really undershooting. It turns out she is not. That was a good move on her part to make it very simple. Because even that almost was too much for her to manage. God bless.
She did not have enough frosting for that tent.
What would you pick, Krista, if you were going to pick a decade and you had to make a cake for it?
Ah, crap. I probably would go with the 20s just because Art Deco.
Yeah. I feel like I would go with the 90s so that I could do the splatter paint. You know, everything in the 90s was splatter painted for some reason.
Yes.
I just, as a kid, like anything that was splatter painted, I thought was the coolest. Like, I you know what? I'm really betraying myself because I was making fun of Dylan so much for talking about the 60s being the birth of cool, and now I'm talking about splatter paint being cool. But I thought that when I was a kid.
Natasha, hypercolor.
Hypercolor?
Remember the heat transfer stuff? Like, if you touched it, it changed color?
On shirts and stuff?
Yeah.
No, I do not. I remember Dayglow. Like, so much Dayglow stuff. But no, why don't they do that anymore?
I do have a shirt that does that in the sun, but not from touch.
Okay, Owen has one that does that in the sun. That is it a Captain America shirt? I think it's a Captain America shield. And it's like black and white inside. And then when he goes into the sun, it turns blue and red.
Nice.
Okay. Now, I didn't know that was a thing in the 90s so much. It was apparently not in my circles. You had to
avoid people touching you inappropriately for multiple reasons.
Oh my God. The 90s were a wild time, kids. Belly shirts, baggy pants, anything brown. Fucking loved brown in the 90s. I don't know what that was about, but we were like about it. And a lot of patch work, like patch jeans. Remember patch jeans? Like,
oh yeah. Remember, I didn't own them.
I didn't, and I looked for them, but I had a butt, and it was like impossible for me to find the pairs that I liked that would fit over my ass. And
well, I told you what I had to do was go to a store that was not catered to white people to find jeans that fit.
Right? Yeah. God, I said I would do the 90s, but now I'm thinking back. I'm like, that was a bad time. I didn't like that. Maybe I don't want to pick the 90s. I do rather like the idea of the 50s because of like, I love the dress styles and whatnot from the 40s and 50s, but I don't know how I'd translate that to a cake like design.
You could do like a Barbie cake.
That's kind of cool. Maybe I could do Barbie cake. I just don't like Barbie, but maybe I could get over it. Maybe I could just...
I mean, for the cake, you could do it.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, so... All right, so that's hers is the 80s. Siobhan picks the 70s. Dylan picks the 60s. Nicola picks the 30s, and she does a bowler hat from Cabaret. The whole theme. I have not seen Cabaret, full disclosure. Have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it, but it's been a long time.
Okay.
Also, that bowler hat was so sad.
The poor sweet thing.
It was just...
It's just so... It's got... This was the thing for me when I was in pastry and baking school, too. People would want to make things out of brown or black fondant, but they wouldn't they wouldn't do it delicately enough that you could brush the powdered sugar off after when you were done. So there would be, the sugar would get rolled into the dough in such a way that it lightened the color of it and made it all look very like powdery and dusty. And that is a major problem with hers. Like the shape of it and everything is not particularly good. But if it hadn't had all of that sugar still on it and she had brushed it off with like a pastry brush or something, that might have helped with the overall impression of it. And I say might, you know. And who's the last person? Oh, Jamie Lee? What decade?
No, we already talked about Amelia.
But what decade is that?
Yeah, it was Amelia Earhart. I don't know, like the tens?
The tens?
I got nothing.
Is that what we call it?
No.
The tens? Right, and hers was just... All right, yeah. We won't talk about that. I love her making Amelia Earhart's face, too, because she's got a little, like, edible marker, and she's just drawing these eyes with, like, a line across the top of them, which, for me, always gives the impression of somebody looking at you in irritation. You know, that, like, deadpan stare that you give somebody when they've just told you a really bad pun joke.
Yes, I do know that look.
I don't know why you're looking at me like that. Juanito! Kiss his head real quick. Oh.
You're very cute.
What a good boy. Yeah. I want to cuddle him. I love it when I see other people's cats. I'm like, oh, I want to cuddle them. But my cats try and cuddle me, and I'm like, I'm doing stuff. Leave me alone. I'm very ungrateful. Don't see what's right in front of my face. And Dylan starts to work on that van cake.
All I could think of was Lost.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that that's a whole thing in there. That van is way too big for the cake. It's so large. And it works out in the end, but I kept expecting him to, like, cut because it's basically a small loaf pan that he used to make the interior of the van. And I expected him to, like, trim it and get, like, the hard edges that were up against the pan off. And he does not do that. No. He just rolls that whole thing up in fondant like it's a tortilla and just goes ahead with it. Which I guess, like, it worked out for him. It wound up being fine. But it's funny.
Oh, I love, like, he's like, they're like, oh, are you making the jelly? No. Are you making this? No.
Right?
No, I'm not making any of it.
I'm not making the lemon curd. I'm not making the jam. What are you making? The sponges and the buttercream. And they're like, okay. And he gets real mad when they walk away. He's like, who has time for that? I mean, that's a fair question.
Nobody.
I want to make lemon curd now. See, this is the problem with this show.
I'm not against... See, it really is Christmas, Natasha, and you need to make us all food again.
God, I wish you guys could have seen my meltdown when I was doing that, when Arya peed on my toffee.
Oh.
You guys, Owen, we were talking about it the other day, because I was trying to explain to Owen at one point about how he has, like, one of those tempers that flares up really bad, and then all of a sudden it's over. And so when the cats, like, trip him, or he drops something, he will curse and, like, pound his fist on the wall and really, like, startle me badly. And then all of a sudden he's fine. But I have had to explain to him why he needs to check himself when he does that, because it causes this response in me from having a parent who would just fly off the handle. And he said, you know what? I remember now. He said the one time that I could understand what you meant was when Arya peed on your toffee. He said, you genuinely scared me. The way you were acting, he was like, I was afraid of you for a minute. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense that was the time. You all should have heard the sound I made. It could have been heard for miles. And it was this, like, it wasn't even like, it was like a growl. Like, oh, I was so angry. You don't fuck with my food, kids. Okay? If we all can just agree on that, we'll be fine.
Yes.
It's fine. She peed on my homemade toffee.
Ugh.
Homemade pan that I had just spread the chocolate over.
Ugh.
It was tragic. It was good toffee, though, wasn't it?
Oh my god, it was so
I
good.
just wiped the pee off of it and sent it on out. I'm kidding. I made a new batch. God. All right. I am so... Let's talk about Saoirse trying to make her tie-dyed... What do you call it?
Oh.
Fondant.
Who did not see that going horribly?
It was such a good idea initially.
Well, if she had stopped and then rolled it out after like the first 10 seconds, it would have worked. But she let it keep going for whatever reason.
Yeah. She underestimated how much that would mix together. Bless her.
I mean, it looked like some tie-dye shirts I've seen.
That's true. It's not totally inaccurate. It just wasn't real pretty to look at. Because she started out with some really exciting colors. But then it just pretty much turned gray. Like the water you put your paintbrushes in.
Yeah.
And I guess nobody made the fondant, right? They all buy the fondant, and that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, they're being honest.
And one of my favorite...
Can you hear him snoring?
No, is he snoring?
Yeah.
Oh, he's asleep already?
Yeah.
No, I can't hear him at all. I like, too, that Dylan, with everything, especially realizing that his van is, like, too big for his cake, he gets really agitated. But then Noel has to come up to him and be like, dude, I think you're ahead of everybody else. And he's like, what? No way. And begins to look around and realize what a complete catastrophe almost everybody else's table is. And that is a very good moment when you really think that you are like behind and fucking up. And then you realize that everybody else's is in much worse shape than yours. I'm looking right now, because I have it playing in the background when we're talking, at Siobhan staring at her mound of grass, yelling, I don't even know where the cake ends. Oh, God. And then she has her cake that she, like, tried to cover in chocolate that got stuck to the, like, wire rack. And she has to get it off with her spatula. And it's just really, like... There are so many little moments in this that just give me so much anxiety. That is one of those moments that I think I have done things like this where something is really stuck. I get my spatula wedged in under it. I'm loosening it. It feels like it's all going to be okay. And then all of a sudden it comes loose all at once and my spatula just flings it. And I've done that more than once where something has just kind of catapulted because of my spatula being, it's the wrong place at the wrong time. We were all working together a second ago. And then one of it was like, nah, I don't need you. So I was waiting for that cake to just flip over and get ruined. And it doesn't. It doesn't look great anyway. Let's be honest, but it's fine.
That's okay. Yeah.
She has her little dealie with the flags that she hangs over the whole thing. It's not bad.
I mean, you know, someone coming in and going, okay, I'll do this as a promo for my show. Good job.
What? I'm just looking now at Jamie Lee's like plain wings. What are those made out of? Does anybody ever tell us that? Because I think she might have just straight up covered cardboard.
I thought that's what she did too.
Is that allowed?
Sure, why not?
Because it's not a food.
Yeah, but neither were the poles with the string on it for the tent.
I guess, but that's a small thing. The wings are a big feature. I was over here talking about having a plan how to do the wings, and she just got cardboard. It just shouldn't be allowed. I don't like it.
I mean, she did cover it with fondant, and she could have just had it be red cardboard.
Look, I don't want you defending this, Krista. All right, fine. I guess we're all just going to pretend that's no big deal. If that's how it's going to be.
Not everybody can be Alice.
I love how it cuts from that, and all of them putting their cakes to the end of the table, to then Nicola saying, "I am a broken woman," and her wrapped in a like blanket around her head, huddled by the like fire pit that they have outside. That
so sad.
Cracked me up. She looks like a refugee. Like, she's just like, oh God.
Ashley put a link in the chat.
Steven from Bake Off 2017 went to Nicola Coughlin's birthday party last year and recreated her Bake Off cake. Oh shit. I'm gonna go. Oh, but he did it properly. Good God. It looks amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Look at how good that looks.
Oh my goodness. Like,
disgusted.
that's kind of a kick in the face, honestly.
Right? That's the sort of thing like, oh, I really liked your idea. Let me do it properly.
Yeah. This is like,
I mean, I
you
guess.
know, you're not really that good at stuff, so let me fix it.
Maybe I'm just taking it too personally, but
I would totally take it
Right?
personally. Yes.
God. Because it looks amazing. It really looks so good.
It's gorgeous.
There is something to be said for that 20s black, gold, white thing. That's the theme we did for our New Year's party a few years ago, me and Sydney, and it was just awesome. It looks so good. And it's really easy to find stuff in those colors, and it's just like, I wonder if that was... So it was her birthday party. I wonder when her birthday is. Because it looks like a New Year's cake to me, but... All right, so at the end... when they try all of the cakes, Paul's reaction to this bowler hat cabaret cake is that it tastes musty.
Which was the worst comment.
What? Why?
I mean, when she said she had cocoa powder in it, I'm like, oh, you don't have real chocolate, and he's got to bug up his ass about that.
Right. And like, usually you do a mix anyway. I mean, not usually, but a lot of times there's cocoa powder and chocolate. But he said, like, she said maybe it was the Muscovado sugar, which, I mean, I never had realized. Guys, she's doing the thing again. Muscovado sugar. Let's look it up and give her a lowdown. Unrefined cane sugar that contains natural molasses, has a rich brown color, moist texture, and toffee-like taste. Commonly used to give confections like cookies, cakes, and candies a deeper flavor, but can also be added to savory dishes. Muscovado sugar, I would not think would give something a musty flavor. That's like brown sugar being called musty. It's just got a more caramely, richer flavor because of the molasses being left a little bit. But it's not like that. Musty. I can't figure out what could have happened, you know?
And he thought it tasted like coffee.
That was the closest approximation I got from him, from the way he said it. It was like, there's a musty taste and it's like coffee. But that was like the best he could do to really place what the flavor could possibly be. Weird.
Poor Nicola. I felt so bad for her.
That, for me, is the worst kind of comment when there's something that somebody criticizes and you know exactly what they're saying and what you did wrong. You can work on fixing that next time. But when they make a criticism that's so subjective, because I say subjective because Prue doesn't exactly agree with him, if I remember correctly. She doesn't say, "Oh, I'm not getting that," but she just kind of like is like it tastes a little odd. I feel like was what she said.
Yeah,
that's something that I guess is due to the recipe, something in the ingredients, and Nicola can't know what caused that reaction in them or what caused that flavor. So there's not a lot she could ever do were she to try and improve on this to make that better. And I hate that kind of problem.
Ugh, I just, it's not you, it's me.
A little bit.
Version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really felt for her. Then there's Dylan's cake, which the lemon loaf on top is like really undercooked. And it's just wet in the middle. Like it's almost, you shouldn't even really eat it.
I was concerned.
Same.
I mean, Prue's already got crutches going on. We really don't need her doing
Yeah,
anything
I
else
wonder
now,
what
do we?
happened to her. Do you know?
No, I'm very concerned.
Ah, poor Prue. Maybe she had an operation on her foot or something. And then there is Saoirse's heart cake that she takes out of the pan for too early. She asks Nicola, should I take it out? And Nicola's like, no, if it's wobbly, it's not ready. And she doesn't listen to her and flips the cake out onto the thing. And sure enough, it cracks. The middle of it deflates a little bit. So she puts the pan back over it and tries to flip it back into the pan and just throw it back in the oven for a little while, hoping that it will sort of knit itself back together. And it does bake further. So overall, the cake turns out better because it's not just straight up underbaked, but it is still in pieces by the time she turns it out of the pan.
Yeah.
And she also put blueberries in it. So that is part of what caused the break, is it's just got so much moisture in it from the fruit that trying to do something like this with it, when you do a really a cake that's got a lot of fruit, either you have to make that cake thick and wide enough to hold itself up like a coffee cake sort of structure, or the batter has to be much thicker in order to make it this thin. And she's got a light sponge batter, not really going to work super well. But then she kind of pulls it out with the decorating of it, which I thought was pretty well done with the peace sign and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was kind of impressed.
I wanted to know if she did other artsy stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question. Oh,
it turns out that Prue snapped her Achilles tendon while filming a skit.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Oh, the Wizard of Oz skit? Really? That's when it happened?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's horrifying.
Oh, I am so sad.
Just the word snap Achilles tendon just made my whole body contract.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So in the end, the judges say that it comes down to Saoirse and Siobhan. And Saoirse winds up being the winner, despite never having baked a cake, allegedly. Unless you're a cake truther like Ashleigh, who doesn't believe that. And she is so stunned and she's so excited. It made me really happy. She was not ready. I love that they give her a little what are they called? Cake, not a tray. Cake table.
Plate?
Cake plate. Cake stand. That's the one I want.
Stand.
That's decorated
Inanimate.
in the, right? It's a little inside joke there, guys. So you listen to Westworld. Decorated in the red and green for the, special holiday episode. But that's a really fun thing.
Yeah, it was super cute.
I just really enjoy the holiday versions. They're all in green aprons, with the red decor hanging, all the lights. I just love the look of this, guys. I'm looking at it right now as they're all coming to announce the winner. And the swags in the background, and there's this wreath with pine cones and gold, baubles on it. And then all of the fairy lights hanging all over. It's just really, really pretty. It makes me miss Christmas time.
So you like it that it's decorated like a season?
Yeah. What?
And your name is Natasha.
I don't know what you're trying to say about me. I refute all assertions.
That you have very many lovable qualities.
That's the most diplomatic way to say that. There it is. Thank you, Krista. That's what I'm going to say next time Owen calls me annoying. I'm going to say, what you mean is, I have very many lovable qualities. Isn't that right, Owen? All right. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap this up? Is there anything Juanito would care to add? Because I feel like he's got some thoughts.
There's some birds out by the pool that he needed to see.
Whee! All right. Well, are you good to wrap?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, Ashleigh, for commissioning this episode. I really appreciate it, and appreciate you letting us use your VPN and you creating a special email address for us, and then letting us use your address, your home address, and all the various things that you did for us to get access to this episode. It was a real heist. And hopefully we'll be able to see you guys again soon, eventually, with a new season of Great British Bake Off. We'll see how that goes. And until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.